Hey guys, you're tuned into the I'm a Vessel YouTube channel. I'm Cena Marie. Once again, I'm happy to be here with you. We're going to have an exciting class today. I'm excited to bring to you a topic that is very dynamic. Today, we're going to be talking about gardens and crossroads. Now, I know you're probably thinking, gardens and crossroads? Exactly, gardens and crossroads. Why? Because when we look outside today, we see so much contradiction. There is It's beautiful outside. The season is beautiful. It's time for us to come alive, and we want to so bad. And yet we have this reality where we are still being secluded. We're still separating from one another, and it doesn't reflect how we feel inside or where we're ready to be. And so I know a lot of youth are going through that, especially the graduates of 2020. You guys are at the prime of a prime point in your life where you're graduating. Even college students, high school students, middle school students. Graduation is exciting, prom is exciting, and you want to celebrate. And there's this reality where you can't necessarily do that. You're going to college and you can't necessarily plan and fully commit, the way you want to, because you don't know what's happening and what's going to happen. But I promise you, there's a reason to it all. Here at I'm in a Vessel, we are really invested in teaching youth not only about what's happening to them as a human being and a natural, but we want to develop youth spiritually so that you can begin to see what is happening on the other side of who you are, the spiritual side. And so when we talk about gardens and crossroads, that's the reality, that wherever there's something that's growing and flourishing, and you reach a point where you have a full, beautiful bloom of a garden, there's always a crossroad that is met with that reality. And what that is because you've reached another level of growth. Just like in life, our world is changing, and our world has reached a level, and now it's transitioning into another level. That's the same thing that's happening in your life. And so wherever there's a crossroad, there's always going to be a point of decision making, a point of realization, a point of a new level to be sought after, to be understood. And so this lesson is going to break down creatively what that looks like, what that means, and how you can use this information to plan and to just gain knowledge and insight, and really relax and understand that it's going to be okay. So stay tuned, as we can't wait to share this with you. Up next. All right, so gardens and crossroads. Let's begin. What do you think about when you think about gardens? When I think about gardens, I think about beauty. I think about growth. I think about hard work, planning, effort, because that's what it takes to really have a beautiful garden. I think about wisdom and knowledge, because people who really garden, they really understand the earth. They understand the natural, earthly things, how it works, and how we plenish and nourish it so that we can get the outcome that we want. So I think about the effort that goes into planning to get the outward effects that we want. I also think about community and change. That's a big thing, because gardens, are places where community people gather. They feed communities. Gardens are just very important to our life in general. When we talk about crossroads, dun, 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 crossroads are like inevitable. The inevitable thing of life are crossroads. It's like God put both there, to keep us balanced. And that's the connection between the two, I believe, is that wherever there's a garden, there's going to be some sort of crossroad, a place where you have options and you have to make decisions, and you have to make the right decision, because each decision has an outcome. And this is true of what we are looking at today. This is the life that we're looking at today. The entire world, not just us per se ourselves, but the entire world is at a crossroad. Is at a crossroad. The entire world, life itself, we can say, is at a crossroad. Where do we go from here? And I thought this was really important to talk about with the youth, because many of you are going through transitions. You are entering into new grades. They're the class of 2020, they're entering into a whole new life for the graduates that are going to college or starting trade school or starting new jobs or careers. The eighth graders that are graduating, they're starting their transition going to high school, elementary going to middle school. These are major transitions that are happening in the lives of youth, and it's important for us to get some perspective so that you guys can have the introspective that you need, so that this whole situation is happening doesn't confuse you or keep you guys in the dark. So it's important that we have this conversation. So what you are looking at today, you can think of it in terms of a garden and a crossroad. You guys are being growing up and living in such a historical time when our world itself is being transitioned. Everything, our economy, our society, everything is transitioning over from one place to another. And so there's a saying that as it is in the natural, so is it as it is in the spiritual, so is it in the natural. And so why we're having this conversation is because we want to take a look at what is happening in the spiritual aspect in our own lives that we need to understand so that we can make sense of all of this that's happening in the natural. This is so important because this is the culture of I am a vessel. We love to teach youth how to not only see things that are happening physically in their lives, but you gain the best insight by taking a step back and really looking and trying to decipher the things that you cannot see that affect the things that you can see. This is what it means to be a vessel, because you are both a physical human being and you are a spiritual person as well. And so it is our job to gain insight from both aspects of who we are. And so just so that you're on the same page and you can understand why we're having this conversation about a garden and a crossroad. When we think about a garden, there's so much that happens that we can't see, but we know that it's going on, right? When you start a garden, you have to dig deep, you plant. And there's a period of time where you don't know what's going on underneath that soil, but you water it, you nourish it, you watch it, and you do all of the things regardless of you not being able to see what is happening and even knowing how it will bloom. But you do those things and for preparation of expectation. And so this conversation about gardens and crossroads is that I want you as a youth that are going through a transition that you can't necessarily enjoy or fully take on. If you are preparing for college and this whole thing has just been a whole doomsday on over your time where you're supposed to be celebrating, I want you to see this as a time of preparation and expectation. Expect for things to be the way you want them to be, and that is how you are to prepare. So we are preparing for a harvest of our garden. But know that with the garden blooming, everywhere there is a garden that is bloomed, there is a place of that has a crossroad waiting for you at that garden. Because when you bloom, you reach a new level. You're in a new state. You're in a new reality. And now there are changes that have to be made. So when we talk about what a crossroad means, you have to consider that a crossroad is a place of change and decision making where there's choices, So take a look at your own life, because there is a crossroad right now. As we can see reflective in our own world, how we're in between the new and the old, so are you. What is the crossroad? What are certain habits, rituals, attitudes, outlooks, and things that you have to, even friendships, that you're being asked to perhaps change, put away in order to be able to adopt a new you? And the reason why this is really important now more than ever is because we don't know what our world is going to look like when we resume to a normal state of life. And so each of us have the responsibility, including me, you, your families, to redesign and redefine who it is and what it is that we are going to be. We have to have vision for the next. And so that crossroad brings a level of responsibility for you to have a vision for your next. So, the reason why we're talking about this is because it's of benefit for you to begin to look around, not at the things that you see, but the things about your life and yourself and reality that you don't see, and begin to listen for the cues and the clues and begin to decipher what it is that life is telling you to do. There is a contradiction that's happening right now over all of the earth. That is that contradiction between it being a garden of flourishment and beauty, and then that crossroad where there's decision making and there's fear and anxiety and other things, loss that we're seeing. But when you come out on top, it's because you've decided to take the mature route, to really take inventory of your garden and all that it's revealing to you, and make the decisions that you need to make right now so that you can be on the right path for your next. This is about being on the right path for your next. What does it look like for your next? And this is so important because I believe that there is a new level of responsibility being called upon the youth. There won't just be a go to college and work your way through things. There is a new level of focus and a new level of intention that you guys have to have in order to be the best you and live your best lives. So take the time out, write down your ideas, write down your goals, and begin to look around at yourself and your life and your realities and say, what are the old things that are being shed away? What are the old things that are being asked for me to change, who it is that I am going to be? This is what we call opportunity, because you can be right now, you could decide to be somebody completely different, better, stronger than you are today. Because with so much transitioning going on, it's like the earth is just opening up a new moment for you to say, you know what, from this forward on, this is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I no longer will do. And this is no longer what I will be. So this is a moment of opportunity where when you get back to school, when your first day of college, you can have done the work that you needed to do to be all that you see yourself being, moving forward into the next level of who you are. And that's the thing about when you reap a harvest of bloom and beauty within a garden. There's another level of responsibility that you are now going to reach, because you have to, for one, do the work all over again. For two, decide how you're going to distribute, how you're going to utilize the things that you've gained from the garden. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing is for you and your life. So I want you to take the time out to begin to look around and look at your garden, Look at your garden and take inventory of the things within your garden, and then see what is the crossroad that your garden is revealing to you. What is the crossroad so that you can make the best out of what was grown, what you have, and begin to reap and move forward the way that you see yourself. You are never too young to do that. And I don't care who you were 5 seconds ago. Whatever you decide to be, today is what you can be. Because when you come to a point of a crossroad, when you're at a standstill, like we all are, this is a moment for us to make the decision, decide if we're going back the way we came, or are we moving forward to a new destination and a new reality of who we are. I hope that you've enjoyed this short lesson. There's more that we can go over and we can talk, but I believe that this is just enough for you to think on your own circumstances as a youth. Because hey, listen, the point of everything right now is to get better, to grow stronger, and so that is what these lessons are all about. I thank you for tuning into this lesson of Gardens and Crossroads. If you want to email me some questions, or if you want to talk more about it, I would be happy to do so. You can email iamavessel at youthmove@iamavessel.org with your questions. Share some of what you learned. We'd be excited to hear about it. So enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Peace.